Very good afternoon, team. Welcome to Dwaytech's Power BI Master Class 4 Matrices in Power BI. For those who have followed till now, from Dwaytech, we have been taking this masterclass for Power BI. We have conducted a few classes in the past. Those classes include introduction to Power BI, basic charts in Power BI, installation, download and installation of Power BI, and complex charts in Power BI. And the latest installation in that series was tables in Power BI. We saw about creating a table and formatting a table and aggregating a table. As part of today's class, we will be looking at conditional formatting of a table, creating a matrix, conditional formatting of a matrix, drill up and drill down. These are certain functionalities and certain features that are part of the matrix, which will allow you to ease your data manipulation, or to do complex manipulation functions can be done easily using this drill up and drill down functions. And last, totals and subtotals in Power BI. So we will be looking into matrix, starting from creating it to all the features that it can demonstrate. We'll be demonstrating all those features of matrix, so that we can understand the importance of matrix and where we can incorporate using this tables and matrix when we are building our dashboard in Power BI. Let's just jump right into it. So as we all are following, we are working with the same data set till date, the same global superstore data set, and out of that data set we are still working with the order sheet only. So by now you all have had a glance through the tables or the columns that we have worked as part of the order sheet. What all columns does the order sheet contain, and what all data it contains, the magnitude of the data, and the basic manipulative and analysis and visualization functions have been done till date. So before explaining to you what a matrix is, I'll just we'll start with conditional formatting of a table. We'll try to repeat the table that we had created yesterday. We'll try to mimic the same one. So I'm going to the visualization pane, double clicking. So like yesterday, I'll be selecting subcategory, sales, profit, and let me go with quantity. So 3 numerical columns and 1 alphabetical column. Of course, you would those who have attended the previous class. On the very first instant, you would get a doubt that the table was looking pretty small yesterday, and as soon as we created table, we had to go to the visualization pane, go to the format option, and we had to format the table according to our requirement. That is, increase the text size, increase the value size, and increase, draw margins and grids, right? Instead of having to deal with it repeatedly, I'm going to show you a trick. You can directly go to view, go to the menu bar right next to file, home, insert, modeling. There is something called view. Click on view, click on this drag down, this drop down, just scroll down, and you'll find an option called customize current theme. So I'll just open that and leave the color coding part, etc., to default settings itself. Jump right to text, and it used to be 10 pt. Now the text size I have increased it to 20, so that it is very filling in my screen. It is very visible for all the audience, right? So this is one thing that you can do, so that it is pretty visible, and every time you don't have to format your table according to your requirement, or so that it will be more visible to you to work on it, right? Do this customized setting so that you can keep working on it again and again. You don't have to revisit formatting your table again and again. So this is the table we have been working with. Yesterday, we were supposed to cover conditional formatting, which we could not because of a certain update that I had to look into. So first, let's go into the numerical columns here. What is the conditional formatting that Power BI is offering to us? So I'll start with the last numerical column, that is sum of quantity, right? So quantity table, if you directly drop to the visualization pane and you can scroll down a bit, you'll see under the columns category, you'll see what are the columns that you have selected. You can directly go to sum of quantity. You can press on the drag down. You'll see an entire menu, and if you can keep searching, looking from the top or from the bottom, you'll find this option called conditional formatting. So Conditional formatting is offering you four options: background color, font color, data bars, icons, and web URL. Web URL is an exception that we will not be touching right now. The other options, that is background color, font color, data bars, and icons. This might seem a bit confusing to you. So what this conditional formatting can do to any particular column that you apply it on, I'll show you. I'm going with this option called data bars. I'm selecting data bars and I'm leaving the entire conditions, whatever preset conditions are there in the pop-up window, I'm leaving it to default and I'm pressing OK. So if you see here, there are bars on each of the cell, and each bar is representing the value of sum of quantity in that particular subcategory. For example, bookcases has made 8,000 sales, whereas binders has made 21,000 sales. So if you look at there, the color bar on 21,403 is much more lengthier, whereas you compare the bar to other numbers, the bar is really small. So to get a clarity on this, I am going to sort the entire sum of quantity column in ascending order, right? So if you can see, then the entire table reorganizes itself in the same perspective. So in terms of quantity, we can understand that binders is a subcategory with the highest quantity, right? Instead of checking each number and verifying it, if you can observe the pattern in this bars, you can understand that, based on this thing, you can also make out, see, this looks like the exact half. This looks like the center point in between higher sales and lower sales. If my guess is right, this sorting algorithm has used 9,301 as the midway point, and whichever sale has happened above 9,301 is considered to be over the 50% bar, whereas anything that is less than 9,300 is considered below the 50% bar, right? This is how it has happened. So thankfully we don't have any negative quantity since we are dealing with quantity. If we were dealing with either profit or sales, we might have had negative values in them. So how does that come into play? Yeah, while exploring other features of tables and matrices, we'll look into that. So next we'll jump to sum of profit. Like I said, you don't have to do any changes. Just apply conditional formatting and sort the column in ascending order. So you'll see that tables has made the least amount of profit. That's why it is very faded. Whereas if you scroll down, we can see copiers has made the highest amount of profit. So that is in the darkest, it is really bright and very visually appealing or very visually visible. Whereas ones with least profit are completely faded. They have a very faded shade so that, you can make out, right? And the last option we have here, we have something called as background color. So I'm going to change this also. Press OK. See, and I'm going to sort this. Yeah. Highest sale has the brightest background color, and the subcategory with the lowest amount of sales has the most faded background color. So this is how conditional formatting works. So by concluding this, I'm going to close this table. Now we can directly jump into matrix. Of course, in conditional formatting, there is one other option called as icons, which we did not explore. We will explore that while we are dealing with matrices. So I'm going to again create a table. We have a table, we have so many features, we have format, we have conditional formatting, yet we still require matrix. Why we require matrix? I'm going to display it to you right now. So in section of columns, as always, I will go with the subcategory, right? And let's say I'm only considering sales now. So according to each subcategory, how much sales has happened, I know. I want to know each subcategory, how much sales has happened segment wise, right? So I'm going to drag in my segment column and I'm going to drop it in columns, right? Yeah. So I'll just maximize the view. Yeah. If you see this particular table, there are three columns now, which says subcategory, sum of sales, and segment. If you observe the subcategory column, you can see all the subcategories are repeated multiple times so that the table can denote to us that the subcategory accessories in the segment consumer has made so much amount of sales. Again, the subcategory accessories in the segment corporate has made so much sales. For one thing, it is very messy. You see that all categories is all data in categories is repeated, and you don't have a total denoting anywhere. If somebody asks you what is the total amount of sales subcategory accessories has made in all segments, you cannot say. So this is a table. So this is how it looks very complicated, right? So this is a pretty one-dimensional approach. Whereas in a matrix, you can approach it in a multi-dimensional way so that both subcategory and segment can both be displayed and values can also be displayed. So I'm going to select this particular table and I'm going to go to the visualization pane and I'm going to click on matrix. Yeah. Immediately it will get converted into matrix. So I have the subcategories here, I have the segments here. So again, against each subcategory and against each segment, how much sales is made is also being displayed, and all the totals in this matrix is also being displayed. So this is what a matrix is. A matrix is also a table, but it has a multi-dimensional approach, right? So this is a matrix. So next thing, we'll look at conditional formatting of a matrix. So conditional formatting for a matrix also works in the exact same way, right? Um, but the only other thing that I told you we'll be exploring here is conditional formatting icons. Okay. Can you see the icons? It is being repeated here, right? So there is one other thing that you can do here generally. There is an advanced filter that you can apply here. We'll go to conditional formatting. We'll press icons. So in this pop-up window, you can choose any of these icons. So I'll just choose the arrow icon data set, right? I'll remove just one filter and I left only a few filters here. So based on percent, I'm telling if the value in either of percentage sales or what do you say, quantity, if the value lies between 0 to 20% of the entire value set, to display a down icon. If it's in between the 20% to 40% lying column, so this space. So these are the icons that I'm going to use. I'm going to press OK and I'm going to observe here. And let's say I'll sort out either one of the rows here, right? Yeah. So if you can see here, home office, the least amount of sales is 136,000. So let's say this is the least amount that is happening. This is in mid range. If I scroll down here, everything is in mid range, right? Overall contribution, none of these segments contribute to 100% of sales, right? Every segment contributes in a minimal way. So this is a conditional formatting of a matrix. In the same way as you conditionally format a table, you can also conditional format a matrix. So I'll go and let's just remove conditional formatting. Yeah, so this is I've removed all the conditional formatting, and this is our matrix. We have subcategories here, and we have this. So I'm going to delete this matrix also. Now we'll be looking at drill up and drill down approach. It is a very beautiful concept in Power BI. How it works, let me display it to you. First, I'll create a matrix. Double click. So I'm going to consider something called the segment. We know that there are three segments, right? We are working with. Segment, I'm going to drop it in rows. All right. In place of values, I'm going to drop sales. So this is the most basic table that we can look through. But Now, instead of having a long table like that, right now we had a very elongated table. We had segments at top and we had subcategories as rows and we had the segments as columns. But I want both segment and subcategory in my row itself so that I can have a table with only two columns named segment and sales, right? So this might be a complicated approach to you, but as we move forward, you'll understand what this is all about. So I'm going to choose subcategory, right? And I'm not going to drop it in columns, whereas I'll scroll upwards and I'll leave it in rows itself. So this is now a matrix. This is a complicated matrix now. I'm going to go near consumer, and if you can see on the top left corner of the consumer cell, you'll find a minute or a small plus button. If you click on that, that will be an expansion. Right now, I'm going to expand this table as much as I can because there will be a lot of data that will pop out. So consumer, according to each subcategory, how much sales has happened, everything is being displayed. See, so if I press minimize here, it's going to minimize again. Again, I can maximize in terms of home office. Again, home office segment sales against each subcategory is also displayed here, and the total of all segments together is also displayed here, right? So this is that. So this is one of the filters we added to the rows. Can we add similarly? I want to know about the date when the sales are also made. Do you think I can add the date in as another column? Yes, we can do that. So I'm going to go to date hierarchy. I'm selecting and I'm going to add that in part of columns here, right? So, or maybe I'm going to drag down date and I'm going to leave it. So in date, I'm going to cancel out quarter, month, and day. I only have a year itself, right? So if you see, I'm now. Just a minute ago, under accessories, you did not have any plus button. Now you also have an expansion button over access. Now, see, it is displaying year-wise sales, right? So there is one more thing we can do. I can remove this here, right? I can take order date and I can leave it in place. Now there is a drill down function that we can do. If you observe the matrix, you see two buttons here called as drill up and drill down. So if I press drill down and I can select on this, it will display everything I have. I can press drill down again. Yeah. So when you drill down on these particular matrices, these four buttons that you can see, you can expand the data. Right now, I have only year here. When I want to drill down, it will also display year wise, and you can scroll the button, scroll the matrix towards your right. You can see the period shifting from the year and the segment also shifting from one quarter to second quarter to third quarter, how this entire data is being displayed. I can further expand it to month wise and date wise also. So every day in a year, what sales I have done in each segment can be displayed. You see, in the year 2012, in the first quarter, on the month of January, on the first date, the consumer made 113 rupees worth of sales in furnishings, right? You have an entire expanded record here from where the sale was made, when it was made, to whom it was made, what subcategory did it belong to, what segment did it belong to, right? In a table, displaying these many details is impossible. So we are going to drill up. we can immediately, with this drill down and drill up functions, you can immediately put your entire column, entire matrix back to level 1 using these 4 buttons: drill up, drill down. This is called as go to next level in hierarchy. This is expand down to 1 level in hierarchy. Every time you have to move 1 level upwards, you click this. So it keeps expanding everything you want to do, right? So when you keep pressing drill up, it keeps closing all the expansion. So this will be the basic table that is visible when the customer or whoever the end user is opening. So as he keeps expanding both on rows and columns, this thing will keep getting big, and this entire table will get more detailed. So the ultimately matrix is nothing but a table which has a lot of functionality in it, which has a lot of graphic in it, which has a lot of operations that it can perform, right? It's a simplified table, but as you keep exploring, the more and more complicated details are stored in a very organized manner. At the same time, it is not messy also. This drill up, drill down, expand level functions that you can perform on a matrix will keep giving you more detail as you go through, right? So this is all about matrices. So I'm going to close this table again. So there is one more feature called as the subtotal and the total, which is a very basic feature, but I will demonstrate it for you once. So I'll open a matrix here. So in place of rows, I'll take subcategory, and in place of columns, I'll take values. Sales, yeah. Sales, profit, and quantity, correct. Let me expand this entire matrix. Maybe I'll simplify it by removing sum of quantity and sum of profit. And in terms of columns here, let me again add the segment part. So here you see totals and subtotals, right? This accessories, the subtotal of total sales made in accessories across all segments, this is a subtotal, whereas this is a grand total, right? So we'll be dealing with that today. I'm going to select the matrix here, go to the format visual. So if you go down, there is something, an option called as column subtotals, right? I'm going to turn it off. This part is going to be turned off, right? In the same way, if I scroll down and I turn off raw subtotals, even this is there. So now I am only getting that category and segment wise total sales that has happened in all categories across all segments. That is the only detail that is being displayed here. So rather, I'm going to use the total and some grand total features, right? I'm going to visualize this again. I'm going to turn on the column subtotal and the row subtotal. But the only thing I'm going to change is I'll change the text color to something more brighter. Maybe I'll put something in purple with the gray background, right? Apply to labels. See, again, I can go to row subtotals, and here also I can go to values, and I can change the text color to something in pink with a white background. Apply to labels. Can you see this? So this entire thing has happened here. So anyways, we are not going to, you know, rely on that. So I'm going to reset to default. So this is just for you to know. So this is how subtotals work. There is another option called as column grand total. Column grand total is always on. It's always there. So you can even change the text color there. You can make it pink. You can make it blue. You can make it any mustard color. So whatever color that you wish to add is your wish. So this is just to differentiate or signify the values so that it is more recognizable and differentiate it from other values, that these are subtotals and these are grand total, right? Row wise grand total also, I'll just change it to this mustard or gold shade, right? And I'm going to apply the same to labels also. Yeah. So this is subtotal and grand total. So this is what we'll be dealing with in terms of total and subtotal. And by this, we want to conclude today's class. And we can say we have learned about conditional formatting of a table, creating a matrix, conditional formatting of a matrix, the drill up and drill down function, the total and subtotals in matrix. So these are what we have learned today. So with this, we will be concluding tables and matrix. So from tomorrow, we'll be looking at other functional aspects of Power BI. Till then, keep practicing with the data sets, and all the best to you. Thank you so much, team.